Всем привет! Hello guys, this is a warrior PvP guide. Like the other one, I'll go through talents, ruby, stats and how I play warrior myself. So the two important skills, spammable ones, are destructive attack and fracture. They give you combat advantage that you need to use many other skills, and they do decent damage. Fracture also applies a buff that increases the damage of Deadly Lunge and Treacherous Strike by 24%. It stacks either 1 by 1 or if your target is CC'd, like slowed, it goes instantly to 3. Then you have a charge to catch people, you have also World Mystery Charge, Turtle, and adrenaline surge for defense. Jack Slice only to apply wounds with a ruby. Kick for some CCs. Aspect of course. And then there's a headbutt. You can headbutt someone 25 yards away if you need to. Very situational spell. Harpoon pulls someone to you, and with this ruby applies vulnerability, but the cooldown is slightly increased. I like to use it. It also applies a slow, and with a couple of rubies, well, this one increases treacherous strike damage, and then this one increases treacherous strike damage on people who are slowed. I think CC'd in general too. So Harpoon slows the target, puts vulnerability. If you have Bloody Harvest up, which gives you damage buff, then you just pull someone, and then the target is already slowed. Apply Fracture once, so you get 3 stacks, and then use Treacherous Strike, and it does good damage. And yeah, Hack is used also for slows. Berserk is a damage buff, 30% damage buff instantly. Gives you movement speed buff also on rank 2, which I have on my build. Rank 3 says it removes CCs, but I don't think it works, or when I had it rank 3, I didn't get it to work. I'm not sure how it's supposed to work. Does it give some kind of buff? Not that I remember. But anyway, then you have a leap. Just to catch people. You're a warrior, so you're gonna be kited. You need some spells to catch up to people. And the tier skills, Bedlam. You just spin a bit, pull people to you. It doesn't do too good damage anymore. Used to be pretty good, but it's just used for CCs mainly. And at the end of the cast, it stuns people. Some people use it like you cast it and then you interrupt it, so it instantly stuns. Just press S or something. Yeah, I think it can be pretty effective in that, because it's just channeled, so you can't use anything else, and the damage is not good. So if you combo CCs, then you can use that to help. The other one, Cruelty. It's a channeled single target spell, and it CCs your target. It's a bit different kind of CCs, because I think not most anti-CCs work to remove it, unlike for stuns or whatever, blind spheres. It's good to use, or I like to use it on healers. So, well, they can't heal themselves, they can't heal anyone, like your team is bursting, you can use this one. Or on your target himself, so he can't use defense. Get some rubies. In the first grid you have the destructive attack ruby, increases damage it deals and gives you 20% defense for 6 seconds when using it. It's basically a free defense, 20% defense all the time, because you're spamming destructive attack and fracture a lot, so you'll get this kind of for free. Everything else is a damage buff of sorts here, and this one I already explained. This one increases damage that your destructive attack and fracture deal on targets that have a dot up. So deadly lunge is dot, which when you use deadly lunge you get 12-second dot. So it should be up all the time, I would say, on your main target. So it's kind of just a bonus damage buff. And this one doesn't have too much interesting things. Taunts are important. You can taunt your enemies if one of your teammates is being focused. And with this ruby, your single target taunt makes your taunt target move towards you, so you can pull people away, or it works as a CC as well. So energy bonuses, more energy per second. And this one makes turtle better. I think it was like, without this ruby, if you use turtle, you're rooted, you can't move at all. And this one makes, when you use turtle, your allies in 25 yards get defense buff, so it helps. And the last crit. This one, when you use destructive attack, you get a buff that decreases the energy cost of your fracture, but it's consumed, so always spam destructive attack, fracture, in that order, so you use less energy. Damage bonuses, resistances. And this one gives you, for destructive attack, it gives you a bit of a trade-off between more energy cost, but you get more combat advantage. I like to take 1 ruby of it, so you have enough to spam treasure strike more. But if you take too much, then you're gonna notice that you run out of energy pretty fast. Like, it already takes 42. It's a lot. I don't want it the cost to go any higher. You need energy still for your defenses, like turtle and adrenaline surge. So if you spam all the time, you need to wait like a couple seconds before you use defense, and you need to use it instantly sometimes. Okay, this ruby, when you use hack, it applies cowardice buff, which increases CC efficiency pretty much. 25% more CCs. And with this ruby, the jack slice in the build that I took rank 1, it makes it give wounds for 6 seconds. It's okay, but the problem is 25-second cooldown. So when I'm bursting someone, I usually just use it for the wound before. It's a bit harder to heal. I think that's pretty much for it. This is just a damage buff for fracture and destructive attack when you use deadly lunge or treacher strike, and some less CCs with this one. Every 50 seconds you can absorb 1 CC. Oh, and guess I didn't mention, but Bloody Harvest is just a bonus that you should have on before you're bursting. And with the ruby here, it's more effective. It like gives you another buff. And when you're CC'd, or not when you're CC'd, but when you don't do anything for 4 seconds, you start getting a buff that increases damage of all your spells. So let's say you're being CC'd a lot, and you can't do anything for 4 seconds. When you come back, you have a bit extra damage, so you can burst a bit better after that, but you need to have the combat advantage ready, because otherwise you're just gonna be spamming it on destructive attack and fracture, and they don't do that much damage themselves. Okay, it should be all for talents. Okay, these are the stats I use. I have order buffs today for determination, caution, and sustainability, so -100 for those, if you're wondering. So basic stats I like for PvP. Close to equal proficiency and brutality. Usually I want Valiance buff to go on proficiency. Some critical chance, you can get some juicy crits in. You don't need to run this if you don't want, but I like to use it. And dominance is, it gives on warrior, it gives you physical damage increase and reduces your energy cost. Sounds good, but it's less efficient than proficiency is with the physical damage increase. But I have 400 of it because of the energy cost decrease. Like with this ruby, it allows you to spam a bit more, get more combat advantage, but kind of less damage still. Not too much. But with 400, I feel like I have enough to be able to spam more, or spam enough rather. So I would run like 400, but not more. If you can use less, then use less. But with the ruby here, I think it's good like this for what I've tried. And defense are normal. 750 caution. I have 785 with the buff here, so it's good enough. Try to aim for 750. Instinct 600 and, well, vitality maxed out. You can also swap some vitality or instinct for survivability if you're playing with a healer around. And artifacts, these three. Aspis cross, of course. Crown, your melee, you're guided, so you need bonus movement speed, and if you have rank 5 it's really great. You're not gonna get slowed as much. And just for the rank 4 bonus to decoction lasts longer, and if you have concentration tonics then the buff lasts longer as well, but if you have support around then you don't need those tonics. And yeah, charge decrease. All helps in all the same things to chase people. That should be all for stats. Yes, should be mentioned the racial deep defense. It's the only one I use for warrior. Gives you some damage reduction. 15% and it stacks up to 6 from every direct damage you take, so 90% at 6 stacks. But it's dispellable. So with engineering the enemy group who's awake, this will be removed pretty fast. And there's also the I don't know what it's called, but it gives I think courage to your allies, and well, if I use it, yeah, cowardice on enemies. But it's pretty short duration, 4 seconds. Not the greatest spell to use. And I guess that should be all for all the skills and stats. Yep. So what I like to do with my bursts is, well, you want all the buffs up, of course. Bloody Harvest is the one you can proc yourself and Berserk. Otherwise, like Trinket proc, Opportunist proc, and anything else. Well, the Arbit RNG only work at the start of combat at the same time, but you can use that. So if you want a bit faster burst, just spam Destructive Attack and Fracture enough to have combat advantage. Then pop Bloody Harvest. You can use Jack Slice or Deadly Lunge. Maybe even Deadly Lunge first, and then Jack Slice for the wounds. Oh, and pop Berserk before or after Bloody Harvest. And just start spamming whatever you have, which is Treacher Strike, Destructive Attack, and Treacher's has this 2.5 second cooldown, so you can't spam it that much, so you need to use it, use another skill, then use it again. So for example, on this dummy, I can start here, get some combat advantage up. I have all the procs, so I pop all these. Oh, and slow, Jack Slice, and then start to spam these. Oh, that's a little example of how you can do the damage. Let's see. Yeah, the bleed from Deadly Lunge, it's pretty great. Like the initial hit, it's good as well. But most likely the fatal wound, the dot from deadly lunge, is gonna be the top damage in your DPS meter. Of course it doesn't show up for the burst, but or you don't see it as much as you see like one big treacherous hit, but it's still good. Okay, so in this little example, I did got from doing 3v3s. I was focusing on the engineer. I wanted my buffs up. I'm already popping Bloody Harvest in this clip, which well, looking from this might be a bit early, but I wanted to burst soon. Was trying to get all the buffs up for opportunist and stuff. Well, let's see. I'm stacking up my combat advantage. You can see I'm pressing. I have destructive attack and fracture in the 1 and 3 here. Spamming them to get 100 combat advantage. Let's see. Okay, so here I have every buff up already. Full combat advantage. And the engineer has defense, well, only 2 seconds. So I'm gonna pull him away with harpoon to apply vulnerability. He also has 3 stacks of fracture. And now I can just pop my damage. So deadly lunge. I'm gonna start with deadly lunge here. Use my jack slice and then go treacherous. Let's see. Yeah, pulled him. This deadly lunge does okay damage already. Don't see the wound for some reason. And then wounds and treacherous, and he's already 15%. Like with every buff up, you can burst people so fast. Oh yeah, and I stunned him also with Ida's Fire, so he can't even use defense right now if he wanted to. Unless he has CC break available. I guess not, since he didn't use it. And yeah. And just to show you the full clip without this pausing all the time. Let's see. Yeah, all the buffs up, pull. And he's about dead already. It can happen pretty fast when you have everything up. Ideal situation. Okay, that should be all for this warrior PvP guide. I know warrior is not the best class at the moment for PvP, but it's pretty fun, I'd say. Paladin does a very similar job in terms of damage, has maybe more utilities, but warrior should have more single target damage and burst. Oh yeah, thanks for watching and see you in game.